Hey, I am so excited to be here with you. I am starting a new series here on Breaking Up with Burnout. This is a series I have thought about for far too long. Actually, since I began the podcast, I thought about doing this kind of series, and it was going to be the intro series to the podcast, but I could make all the excuses. I don't even know what happened. Really, it just kept being put on the back burner. So I'm so excited today to bring you episode 1 of this series that's called Burnout is a Bad Romance. Let's Break Up series. This is going to be a series of episodes where I'm correlating toxic relationships with burnout. Because in both, when I remember thinking about this and this came to my mind, we often don't see the early signs necessarily of burnout. We don't necessarily see the signs of early toxic or unhealthy relationships. So I'm so excited to bring you this series, and this is episode 1. I think I'm going to call it the honeymoon or something like that. This episode, we're going to talk about that beginning phase of a relationship and that beginning phase of burnout where you feel love and passionate. With burnout, we excuse the singes of burnout because I'm passionate about the work that I do. Like, for example, I was loyal to the bone. I'm very passionate about mental health and about helping other people and complex trauma. And I was like, we're going to figure this out. I want to bring the best to this work that I was doing. And I was tired. I was exhausted. I would have physical symptoms, but I was like, it's just going to get better when this is developed. It's going to get better when we open the organization. It's going to get better, blah, blah, blah. And I was passionate. That's why I grabbed onto that thought. I'm like, I just got to figure out this anxiety or these things that I'm feeling in my body because I'm so passionate about this work and I'm going to push through because I love it so much. I actually just started a new round of burnout and compassion fatigue trainings, which AKA, if you are listening and you have a team or you know of an organization where they need burnout and compassion fatigue trainings, I love bringing this to the corporate world because I want to help shift culture for productivity and longevity, but also my heart is the care of the employee. And we got to start shifting culture because so many people are burning out. And we got to look at what it is, how do we deal with it on an individual level and a corporate level. Anyways, I'm talking about passionate. I'm passionate about these trainings. So you can email me or comment in the comments of this episode. Okay, so going back to what I was talking about, early burnout singes, as I like to call it, we can excuse it with passion. Just like early toxic relationships, it can feel like love. Now, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying you can't feel love. Actually, every relationship, you have this feeling of love, whether it's healthy or not. It's that honeymoon phase. It's like your head's literally, if you look at the science, your head is literally in the clouds. It's in the euphoria. It's in the oxytocin. It's in all these endorphins. All these things are pumping in your body because your body is designed to attract and be attracted to another person. However, when it's an unhealthy relationship, it can look like grand gestures. It can look like love bombing. It can look like, the world is your oyster as you're developing this relationship. But also, on the flip end, when it comes to burnout, it's like, I love this work. I love doing this. I have so much passion, so I don't really feel the singes. Or in a relationship, you don't really notice, or you start to excuse certain behaviors, like, oh, that was just one time. That's not really gonna happen again. We'll just see how this plays out. I can remember in a past relationship feeling that way. I was like, well, this was just one time. We'll see how it goes. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ponder a moment where you felt overjoyed at being needed. Because a lot of the times our passion, and a lot of you that are out there listening, love to be needed. Just like me. We are the go-to person. We are the problem solver. We are natural at leadership. We feel great at being needed. But if you were truly honest with yourself, it's at the cost of yourself. Whether you couldn't get your report done or you couldn't get some work done. I can remember many times I would sit with another clinician in my office. In my mind, I'm like, I got to get my notes done, or I got to answer some of these emails, or I got to get this report in. And we ended up chatting for like an hour. And I'm like, I got to get work done. And I loved being there for people. So it was like, well, it's fine. I'll just stay a little bit later to do the work. But it was costing me because it was stressing me out that I couldn't get the stuff done, but I was also holding space for people. It can be a fine line of a rhythm to navigate. Just like in early relationships, you want to give to your partner. You want to be there for them. But you have to think about, is it at the cost of yourself in a detriment? Because some people have said, when I have said this concept, people have said, well, it's okay to sacrifice myself. It's okay to be of service to other people. And yes, it is okay to be service of other people, but is it at the detriment of yourself? Are you more stressed out? Are you more exhausted? Are you hurting? Are you physically hurting? Maybe emotionally hurting because you're giving in these moments? Out of the thought, well, I'm just being a good employee, or I'm being a good boss or a manager, or I'm being a good girlfriend, or I'm being a good boyfriend by giving so much into a relationship. For example, I can think about many times, where I stayed late at work and I felt flattered because I was given an extra responsibility, or I was the one that was in charge to close up the place. Whatever it was, I chose I'll just stay late. It's fine. No big deal. At the time, I think about it, I was like, I am single. I could stay late. No problem. And I'm like, okay, I got this responsibility. This feels kind of good. You know what I mean? But when I would get home, I'd be eating dinner at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I wouldn't get into bed till about 10 or 11. And if y'all know me, I love a good 8-9 hours of sleep. I require a lot of sleep to function on a daily basis. And so it was hurting me and it was costing me to stay late, because even though I wanted to, going back to that passion, I was passionate about the work and the people, and I was like, yeah, no problem. But as I was doing that, I would not get enough sleep. The next day I would be drinking more coffee, which coffee is great. I love coffee, but if I have too much coffee, it starts to contribute to the anxiety I already naturally have. So it was costing me. In the same way, it can look like a partner's early grand gestures, early love bombing. And let me say this. Love bombing and early grand gestures are actually an emotional manipulation tactic where someone showers you not just affection and flattery, attention and gifts, excessive. It's excessive affection, flattery, attention, and gifts. While it might mimic a passionate romance, and we hope that it is a regular romance, but remembering that it's excessive. In this, the underlying goal for that person is to overwhelm your rational mind, which it does. Like in the honeymoon phase, your brain literally goes offline. All these endorphins of hormones and oxytocin, the bonding hormones, endorphins, serotonin is all lifted, which kind of bypasses your rational mind and kind of build a dependence or a trust in somebody. So, segue into relationships, let me give you a little bit of an example of what love bombing could be. A rapid progression in the relationship, rushing to say, I love you, talking about marriage, moving in together. Overwhelming praise that positions you as their soulmate and the one for you. Demanding to be touched all day, this like constant connection of affection, or becoming upset or guilt tripping you when you spend time with other people. Over the top gifts. And pushing you to move in the relationship faster than you are comfortable in. Basically accepting and doing things that you are somewhere inside of you, there's a little radar going like, I don't know if I need to do this. I don't know if this is actually good for me. So let's correlate that with burnout. It's the overworking. It's the extra responsibility. I would always take on extra responsibility for work. And I realized I would do this because I liked diversity in the work that I was doing. I can sometimes get bored doing the same thing over and over again. And that's like in life. I think about my husband and myself. He could eat the same lunch every day and not get tired of it. For me, after 2 or 3 days, I'm like, okay, I gotta have something. I gotta mix this up a little bit. But the problem that I was running into as I diversified and took on more responsibility at work, I was ignoring boundaries for myself. I was staying later. I was feeling more stress. I was overworking because I was passionate and I wanted to help. And I loved to help. Loved to be needed. But as this was happening, I was feeling more stress in my body. Specifically, like when I think about times where I took on too much, I can feel the stress like in my shoulders and in my jaw already. I would drink more coffee. There are times in my life where I've stopped drinking coffee because of health issues. A common thing that I'm finding when I'm working with people in burnout, they have gut issues, and that just directly correlates to stress. I would feel a heavier sense of responsibility. I would feel almost like a burden. I accepted the heaviness and feeling of burden because I was so passionate. That's an early sign of having that stress. Well, I like this. I want to help. I want to be needed. This feels great doing it because I love this work. But there's a small tension that's starting to build in your neck or your stomach or your shoulders that we ignore. That is a singe of burnout. And just to remind you, burnout is unresolved chronic stress. So when we don't resolve stress, it's like little deposits that are made into our bodies. That's why we feel it in our shoulders, in our stomachs, anywhere in our bodies. We feel it, but we end up bypassing our body's signals to stop or rest or recharge or have a boundary for ourselves because we are passionate. Same thing in relationships. Well, he loves me or she loves me or this is so great. Like I finally finding somebody that's doting on me or giving me things or really sees me. But you bypass the little, that was kind of weird. Or I'm not sure about that. We end up bypassing those little signs for the sake of passion when it comes to burnout and love when it comes to toxic relationships. Okay, I want to end this episode with some things for you to ponder and think about. A reflection for you is, when have you mistaken overwork for passion? What early, quote, highs kept you hooked? And when it comes to the workplace, some of the highs can be affirmation or people depending on you. I'm so thankful that you're doing this. Thank you so much for taking this on. I'm so grateful. And the person that's saying that is actually grateful for you to take those things on. And that feels good. Okay, well, I'm approved of. They like me. They think I'm responsible and dependable. So I'm going to take this on. That feels good. That's a dopamine hit to your brain. But same thing in a toxic relationship. What early highs kept you hooked there too? Okay, let me leave you with this question. What is one small boundary you ignored early on? Oh, this opens up a can of worms for me because there were so many I can think of. There were so many. Just going back to that feeling of, should I take this on? Should I not take this on? I'll take it on anyways. And then the stress that I felt and the overwhelmed that I would feel sometimes, or I just couldn't get my work done. I was doing extra work and trying to juggle and balance everything, or some boundaries around work where I have my burnout incident, I like to call it, which if you want to hear about all of that, I have an episode in the podcast called The Burnout Incident, but I share actually my whole story. I think it's 4 or 5 parts of my story of how burnout built in my life, how the chronic stress built in my life to this point. But some of the things that I ignored were the stress I would feel in intense situations. And it was more about, my brain flipped into, well, I just got to figure out how to handle it. I was beginning to have anxiety and I would start having panic attacks really bad at the height of my burnout. And I kind of ignored it. I knew it was there, but I just got to figure it out. So I went back to therapy to try to be like, I just need to figure it out. I just need more tools to deal with this anxiety. It's fine. That's maybe not an early on, but that was early on to my epiphany of, I'm actually burnt out and I have to make some really hard decisions. The amount of health issues I was starting to have, the frequency of stomach aches I would have. It's always an indicator, but I would ignore it and I would actually get frustrated at myself. Why does my stomach hurt? Why is this happening? I would start turning inward, bypassing that my body actually was signaling something is going on right now when you're dealing with this. So this may not be small boundaries. These may be big examples, but I still feel like they're applicable. One of the early signs for me was I would wake up exhausted and go back to bed exhausted. I can remember a week, it just felt like Groundhog Day, where I woke up, I did my work, I felt just as exhausted all day long. I would go to sleep exhausted. I would sleep all night. I would sleep a good 8 hours and I would wake up exhausted. And I remember the moment I was standing at the foot of our bed. We were living in our first RV. We were living in our first RV in our RV park. I remember standing there dreading having to go into work because I felt so exhausted and I had so much to do that day. And I was like, Tiffany, you just got to get it together. But the truth was, my body was falling apart in that moment. So those are just some examples I wanted to give you, but I want you to ponder on, what is that small boundary you ignored or you are ignoring if you are currently in burnout early on? Typically, we ignore our body signals. So what's your body telling you? And if you're needing help with what your body's telling you, I'm happy to jump on a call with you. I offer consultation calls and coffee chats and all that. So I do coaching as well, burnout coaching. And part of the coaching that we do is, what are these signals that we are missing right now? Right now, I am doing a neurodivergent families integrated support with our coach, Lauren Powell. She is working with neurodivergent families and supporting them specifically in Florida right now. She's specifically working with them and helping navigate the system and how you feel if you have a child that you are suspecting or is neurodivergent. I am working with the parent on their own burnout that they're feeling about everything. We believe that supporting the child in the system and supporting the parent, it has been two separate conversations that needs to be one. And so we are providing this specialized support. If you want more information about it, please check the show notes. We'll have a link down there, but you can email us at info@seethewonder.net. And also, like I mentioned earlier, we are offering compassion, fatigue, and burnout trainings to organizations, to teams. So if you are an organization or a team, we would love to have you, again, email us, info@seethewonder.net. And thank you for listening to part 1 of Burnout is a Bad Romance series. The next episode will be episode 2, and we'll be talking about rationalization and isolation, excuses that prolong burnout, just as they do in toxic relationships. All right, until next time, bye.